give flowers to the legend. We're going to start Diana Taurasi. I'm going to bench Sabrina and cut Caitlin.
Hailey Van Lith just stirred the pot in a big way. She said Diana Taurasi benched Sabrina Ionescu and dropped Caitlin Clark. Comments that are already turning heads. Van Lith, a rookie for the Chicago Sky who hasn't even played her first WNBA game yet, took a shot at one of the biggest names driving the surge in women's basketball viewership. And with that, she may have just made herself a major target.
But Hailey Van Lith, oh, you gave a bad answer.
You can feel the heat building across the basketball world. Caitlin Clark, the same player who scored over 40 points twice against Hailey Van Lith in college, now has even more reason to show up strong when they face off on May 16. And let's not forget, before Clark took over the spotlight, Diana Taurasi warned her that reality was coming. Van Lith just made a similar move, except without Taurasi's credentials to back it up.
Yikes. Right off the bat, she's feeling the fire from Caitlin Clark fans. Now, she's already felt some fire from Caitlin Clark in the past. To be honest with you, during some LSU Iowa games.
The basketball world is gearing up for what could be the most personal matchup of the season. But first, a quick rewind. Hailey Van Lith was recently drafted by the Chicago Sky. It's a big step and a proud moment in her career.
The 11th pick in the 2025 WNBA draft, the Chicago Sky select Hailey Van Lith, Texas Christian University.
But the celebration didn't last long. Right after being drafted, Van Lith found herself at the center of controversy. In a casual interview, she was asked a simple start, bench, cut question about 3 WNBA stars, and she chose to cut Caitlin Clark. Yes, that Caitlin Clark, the one drawing millions of new fans to the sport. It was the kind of answer that made people stop and ask, did she really just say that?
I can cut Diana Taurasi since she's retired, and then I'm gonna start Caitlin Clark and bench.
There we go.
Most rookies play it safe when asked that question. They usually start Caitlin Clark, bench Sabrina Ionescu, and cut Diana Taurasi. It's a way to recognize Clark's rising influence while still showing respect to the veterans who paved the way.
By the way, I'm just going to say this. If it's right now, cool. The easy thing to do is just say, cut Taurasi, she's 42. That's the easy thing to say. But if we're talking about all time, you know what? You probably start Taurasi. Like, Taurasi. Like, if we're talking right now, you clearly cut Taurasi. But you clearly, if it's right now, start Caitlin. There's no reason. Caitlin is not only currently better than Sabrina Ionescu, she's been historically better than Sabrina.
But Van Lith went in a different direction. She said she'd start Diana Taurasi, benched Sabrina Ionescu, and cut Caitlin Clark. The response was swift, and not in her favor. Commentators quickly called it a major mistake, with one even saying outright that she gave the wrong answer. The backlash was immediate and mostly negative.
We're gonna start Diana Taurasi.
Fair. So now clearly you're gonna bench the player that scored 40 points twice against you the last 2 times you faced her.
I'm going to bench Sabrina and cut Caitlin.
Van Lith's choice is puzzling, especially as a rookie who hasn't played a minute of pro ball yet. One analyst compared it to a new employee insulting the CEO on day one, a risky move that could backfire before her career even begins. The reaction online was instant. Some say she's leaning into a villain role on purpose. Others think she didn't realize how big of a stir her words would cause. Either way, she's sparked a controversy that's not going away anytime soon. Compared to her fellow rookies, who've been cautious and respectful as they enter the league, Van Lith stands out. While others tread carefully, she jumps straight into the spotlight, and it raises real questions about her approach. Is she trying to make a statement from the bench? Or is there something more behind her bold move?
Hey, Hailey Van Lith, you are very lucky you are going to be sitting on the bench for the Chicago Sky this year, because Caitlin Clark is going to probably do unspeakable things to your team the first time you play this season.
Her body language during the interview said it all. She was confident. This wasn't a mistake or a moment of hesitation. Van Lith made her choice on purpose. So now the question is, does she truly think Clark is the least valuable of the 3, or is she trying to send a message that she's not afraid of Anion? Given their college history, where Clark regularly outshined her, Van Lith's comments are even more surprising. And now, before she's even played her first pro game, she's already drawn a target on her back. In a league where first impressions matter, that's a bold way to start.
Oh, you gave a bad answer. Especially consider the fact you're playing the Fever Game 1. And I hope Caitlin Clark. This is a person who has played the last 2 times she played Caitlin Clark. I'm not joking when I say this. Caitlin Clark put 40 on her team's head. Put 40 on her head directly once.
Now, the basketball world is watching Hailey Van Lith closely. She's put herself under a spotlight, one that's likely brighter than she expected. Her comments have created a narrative that will follow her all season, especially when the Chicago Sky face off against the Indiana Fever. That matchup is now circled on every fan's calendar. What makes it all the more surprising is that this isn't even the beginning of their story. It's just the latest chapter. The real question is, what happens when you call out a player who's already outperformed you? Twice, on national TV? The history between Caitlin Clark and Van Lith is anything but balanced. In their matchups since 2023, Clark has averaged a staggering 40 points per game against Van Lith's team. That's not a typo, minus 40 points. She ran the court with total control, breaking through defenses with ease. Van Lith and her team simply couldn't slow her down.
Clark once again dancing with the basketball, seeing it go through the net.
The video footage says it all. Van Lith's frustration was impossible to miss. There's that unforgettable moment when Clark hit a deep three-pointer and the camera caught Van Lith's reaction. Her face told the whole story. She was crushed, nearly in tears. It was clear she was getting a tough, public lesson in basketball, and it was painful to watch.
Look at Caitlin Clark. That's really good. That's really good. I mean, the look of pain on her face. Jesus again. Yeah.
The talent gap between Clark and Van Lith was impossible to ignore. During one stretch in the third quarter, Clark blew by Van Lith with a smooth crossover, finishing through contact. On the very next possession, she hit a 3 from NBA range while Van Lith was still backpedaling. The Louisville guard could only shake her head as Iowa's lead shot up to 20. Analysts were unanimous. This wasn't an even matchup. Clark was on a different level, leaving Van Lith looking outclassed. One play summed it up perfectly. Clark hit a step-back 3 right in Van Lith's face, then casually jogged back on defense like it was no big deal. Meanwhile, Van Lith stood frozen, visibly deflated. It was like watching someone try to guard Michael Jordan in his prime.
Important things for Iowa in this game is to be able to secure defensive boards. LSU, an outstanding offensive rebounding team. Clark connects!
When you look at the history between Van Lith and Clark, her decision to cut Clark makes no sense. In sports, most players develop respect for opponents who completely outplay them. It's just part of the game. You recognize greatness when you see it firsthand. Former players have noted how strange this is. When someone dominates you like Clark did, you typically gain respect for them, not try to downplay their value. It's basic basketball psychology. You acknowledge the players who expose your weaknesses because, in the end, they help you grow.
Hailey Van Lith seems to dislike Caitlin Clark since the Iowa versus Louisville game.
What makes this situation even more confusing is that Van Lith has seen Clark's impact firsthand. She's felt the frustration of trying to stop Clark's brilliance and coming up empty. If anyone should recognize Clark's value, it's the player who got a front row seat to her greatness.
Caitlin Clark, if you ever set foot on the floor to guard Caitlin Clark, you better be pissed that your team drafted Sivka instead of Sanaya Rivers to guard Caitlin Clark. Because what Caitlin Clark is going to do to your team on May the 16th or 17th, whenever the game is going to violate the Geneva Convention.
The basketball world couldn't have written a better script. Mark, May 16th. Mark your calendars. That's when we'll witness one of the most anticipated revenge games in recent WNBA history. The Indiana Fever versus the Chicago Sky. What was once just another regular season game has now become a must-watch, all because Van Lith couldn't resist poking the bear.
I'm sorry, Caitlin put up 31 points and 12 assists. One of the best, I'm pretty sure, I'm not mistaken, it was the only 30-point, 12-assist game in the history of the WNBA against Chicago Sky.
Let's not forget Clark's previous performance against the Sky. She was incredible, putting up 31 points and 12 assists before any of this personal drama even started. With this new motivation, Clark's potential for the upcoming matchup seems limitless. This is a classic basketball storyline. The best players have always used perceived slights as fuel to take their games to another level. Michael Jordan was famous for finding even the smallest disrespect and turning it into extra motivation, creating rivalries out of nothing to give himself an edge. Now, Clark has her own bulletin board material, served up by Van Lith on a silver platter.
You don't want to give her more motivation. We saw what she did against Diana Taurasi. We saw what she did to the Mercury.